Okay, then cleaning out the 786 photos on my Matt's phone. Seriously, 786 photos, or is that like my dad used to say, I told you a million times, don't exaggerate?
No, when I plug the phone into the computer to copy all the photos over, it's like 786 items, and I'm like, I've done this before, so I'm going to have duplicates when I copy them, where it's going to say, do you want to make two, and I'll say no. But yeah, no, I hadn't cleaned the phone out for 2-3 years.
Okay, well, at least it's 2 or 3 years. If it was 786 photos every month, I'd say there's better uses for your time.
Well, it's stuff like the 2 trips to Disney. All the photos I took on my phone were on there. At least 3 or 4 different parades the girls marched in, where I was, sometimes I take a video of the parade, and if it was a longer parade, I'd just take pictures of okay, here's this float, that type of thing. And I just, it was one of those, oh yeah, I'll delete these later, and then later never came until now it's like, yeah, we're going on vacation again, I should probably clean the phone out. And so...
Really?
Oh, and then it also included if I downloaded, like when I get the Monday report on my phone as an email, if I click on it to read it at work, it downloads it to my phone. It's like, well, that's technically an image. So it's just, once in a while you got to, that's the wonders of living in Buck Rogers time, where if, okay, now we gotta clean this up, otherwise we're not going to be able to do things.
Right. See, that never happened in Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon. It's they didn't anticipate the fact that Flash and Dale Arden would have to sit down with their cell phones and go, well, come on, we're going to the ice planet. We better clear these photos off here, or we're not going to have any room for the new photo. Well, anyway, you're right. I think it's a photo of President Truman meeting with representatives of the National Cartoonist Society. Maybe Alex Raymond, I don't know. But here you go, Dave. Yes, actually, that's Alex Raymond in the center of the photo. President Truman on his right, and to the right of President Truman is Ham Fisher, the cartoonist on Joe Palooka. And forward from President Truman is Milt Caniff. And they're all drawing the president in, I think the event took place in the Rose Garden. And it was I'm trying not to tell the whole story, because this is one of those where Eddie Connor went, dig we must, and kept digging and digging and digging and finding out more and more about this as we got more stuff from Ohio State University, from Milt Caniff's papers. It started with Ham Fisher, again, the guy in the foreground who was drawing Joe Palooka, and it's interesting to me that Truman is obviously favoring Ham Fisher. I mean, he's supposed to be the model for these 3 cartoonists, and then there's another group shot where all of the cartoonists are holding up their drawings of Harry Truman. But I think it's one of those, for Harry Truman, Joe Palooka was a comic strip that he knew about and probably read and had read for years. And so, okay, this is the Joe Palooka guy. I don't think he would have known Rip Kirby from a hole in the ground. And I think the same would have been the case with Milt Caniff. He might have read Terry and the Pirates, but Steve Canyon, which was the strip that Milt Caniff was doing at this time, his second strip, Steve Canyon was Air Force. And Harry S. Truman, I'm pretty sure, was Army, and Army is just not inclined towards Air Force guys. So this actually dated back to what it was they were helping to sell government bonds, linked up with the Treasury Department, and what they were selling the bonds for was because of the police action in Korea, which wasn't called the Korean War because it was, the United Nations time period, and everybody trying to be on board with, we don't commit war anymore. We join a universal police action against an aggressor, in this case, North Korea. And they got into a little bit of trouble with, well, okay, when you're fighting World War II and you're selling war bonds, people understand war bonds. Yes, I will buy a bond saying I believe that I'm going to be on the winning side with the United States, and this is worth investing to make sure that Nazi Germany and Japan are both defeated, and I'll be getting my money back out of here with interest in 5 years. And meantime, Uncle Sam, here's my bucks to help break the Axis, help defeat Nazi Germany and the Japanese. Didn't have quite the cachet in 1949, 1950 to sell bonds for a police action. So any help that they could get to try and get people engaged with it. And it was Ham Fisher, I think, met John Snyder socially, who was the head of the Treasury Department in, I think he goes back to the FDR administration, but he was definitely the Treasury Secretary in Harry Truman's cabinet. And Ham Fisher, I think, went to him or contacted him and said, hey, I was reading about your bonds that you're selling and that you're looking to publicize it. How about Joe Palooka comes to the Treasury Department and meets John Snyder and says, hey, boys and girls, moms and dads, buy your bonds. This is Joe Palooka right here in the office of John Snyder, recommending that you do that. And it worked really good. It's comic strips were a lot more popular back then than they are now, far more central to people's entertainment. So if Joe Palooka tells you, buy bonds and help us with this police action in Korea, as I say, it worked the charm. So then, of course, all of the National Cartoonist Society cartoonists are sort of envious because it's like Ham Fisher's, rubbing elbows with John Snyder, and somebody decided to upscale it and go, hey, why don't we do a big trip with all of us going to see President Truman at the White House, and we'll all do sketches of President Truman, and this will be publicizing buy bonds. All of these National Cartoonist Society cartoonists and the president want you to buy bonds. And with the success of what Ham Fisher had done, it's like, okay, we're not selling as many bonds as we were during World War II. Maybe this is something that would actually work, and it actually did work. So that's the short version of the story.
So, book 5 of The Strange Death of Alex Raymond, or book 4?
Well, this is one of those ones where Eddie and I sort of argue back and forth about it, because the Ham Fisher thing ties in with his big feud with Al Cap, the guy who did Little Abner, because Al Cap got his start as Ham Fisher's assistant that whole thing happened without dragging Al Cap into it. And it's like, okay, Eddie dug up a lot of stuff on the Al Cap Ham Fisher feud, and I went, no, this is a separate book. If I start bringing Al Cap and Lil Abner into this, and there's a lot of comic art resonances with Gone with the Wind, with Al Cap, and with Stan Drake's a proxy of Stan Drake and his first wife show up in Lil Abner, and it's like, if this isn't them intentionally, this is definitely an amazing comic art metaphysics. But it's like, no, I gotta chop some of these tendrils off of here because I'm already on page 554. But Eddie keeps pushing for. You can't tell the story properly without Al Cap. Right? This is true, but I'm going to do the best that I can. When I was talking to Owen Klein, the director who just did Funny Pages, which we've been talking about a bit, and he said, I've been thinking of making this like part of my filmmaking oeuvre of Owen Klein is known for doing movies that are all based in the comic book field and the comic strip field. And he was saying, if I decided to do that, what should I do next? And I was going, if you want a really interesting story, look into the Al Cap Ham Fisher feud, which ended up with Ham Fisher committing suicide. Fictionalize that one, and you're off to the races. If this comes up with Eddie from time to time, it's like, well, if you're not going to do it in Strange Death of Alex Raymond, what about after Strange Death of Alex Raymond? And it's like, no, I'm going to be all done with these rabbit hole laden stories. Ham Fisher versus Al Cap, which, as far as I'm concerned, Al Cap drove Ham Fisher to suicide. Somebody else is going to have to do that one. But getting back to the picture, I'm pretty sure I was trying to find the original news clipping, and I've got the photos that Eddie purchased from the Truman Library. So I've got amazing glossy photos. I actually got two of them framed on the wall of the office. This event took place as far as I remember. I might be misremembering it, but it was October 2nd, 1949, which was Alex Raymond's 40th birthday. He got to go to the White House and draw a picture of Harry Truman.
Okay. Well, like I said, it was one of these. I'm going through and I copied everything and I'm going through deleting stuff and I'm looking at, well, do I need this on the phone? Is this something that it might come up where I need it? And I'm like, I got to that picture. I'm like, why the hell is this on my phone? Like, was this? I saw it on Twitter and I saved it to the phone to send up for a please hold, and then got busy and forgot about it. Because that does happen quite frequently. But like, usually I look at it. Oh yeah, that's what this is. This one was like where did this come from? Is that Truman?
Yes, it is. It's there's another photo in the batch where there's at least 15 or 16 cartoonists, and they're all standing around Harry Truman and holding up their drawings for the photographer. And Alex Raymond is directly behind the president, which is, I suppose, appropriate because he was the president of the National Cartoonist Society in 1949. And at some point, I'm going to have to do the meticulous research to identify all of the cartoonists holding up the pictures. I know Bill Kniff, I know Ham Fisher, I know Alex Raymond, Andreola, who did Carrie Drake, is holding up one. Rube Goldberg is in the photo holding up a picture of Harry Truman. Rube Goldberg of the Rube Goldberg device fame. But there's at least 5 or 6 other guys where I don't know who they are. I pulled out the only year that I was a member of the National Cartoonist Society, 1988, and I got their yearbook, and there's a photo in the back of all of the cartoonists standing around I think it was called the Flying Cartoonist. They actually leased a plane flying from New York to Washington, and it's got pictures of all their cartoon characters stuck on the fuselage, and the names of the cartoonists at the bottom. So I have to cross-reference that with the photos at the White House. It's funny, the National Cartoonist Society credit says, here's all of these guys, and it identifies all of the ones that they know. And Marge Devine, who was the secretary of the National Cartoonist Society for years and years, she was still the secretary the year that I was a member. And it says, all gathered, getting ready to board the plane to go to Washington to meet Harry Truman. And the photo, the last credit is 1954. I'm going, Harry Truman wasn't president in 1954. Eisenhower was president in 1954. So I don't think they were going to see Harry Truman at the White House in 1954. Or we've got a major conspiracy thing going on here.
Well, it took them that long to get everybody to agree to get on the flight.
That's right. Get enough of them sober so that the pilot would agree to take off. Okay, 2 years in, I think we're ready to go with